In the comments of a website, someone mentioned that something strange had happened. The first to notice this anomaly was a dog nicknamed Bobby. When he sensed the occurrence, forming a visible expression of deep anger, he began to bark aggressively. Soon, we are introduced to a baby who was all messy with food. The dog kept barking at the baby, causing everyone at the table to be confused. The woman immediately told the dog to stop barking and asked why he was so out of control. She assumed that he was jealous of her baby, Ji-young. The mother took Bobby out of the kitchen and asked her older daughter to feed the baby. She also asked her to take care of Yang for the rest of the day, promising to pay her at the end of the month. Agreeing with her mother, Ji-hyun helped her brother eat with a spoon because she found it repulsive that he was eating with his hands. So the baby began using the spoon to eat, but something made her quite uncomfortable. Ji-hyun looked at her brother and seemed visibly troubled by something. She kept analyzing Ji-young but couldn't pinpoint what was making her so uneasy. This made her draw her parents' attention. Ji-hyun pointed at her brother and asked, "What is this thing?" After that question, the parents decided to remain silent for a moment, which was broken by the father, who let out a slight laugh as he said that he and his wife made him one night. The mother tapped Ji-hyun on the head and asked how she could call her own little brother a thing. She then picked up the baby and took him from the table, saying to Yang that even his sister was jealous, leaving her indignant. Ji-hyun looked confusedly at her brother. She didn't know why, but she could definitely feel that thing was not her brother. Faced with these events, Ji-hyun decided to write everything she felt and saw on a website, asking for help or advice. And after receiving some notifications after a while, she quickly checked them. But she was soon disappointed to see that everyone thought she was crazy and that she just didn't like her brother. This made her let out a sigh of disappointment. She lay back in her chair and started thinking. Ji-hyun asserted that he looked and sounded the same, but he was definitely not her little brother. But not even her parents seemed to notice this. The only ones who knew this were her and Bobby. When suddenly, her phone started vibrating, prompting her to check who the message was from. To her surprise, someone with the username Warm said they believed her. Ji-hyun quickly regained her faith in getting answers and stood up. The user on the site told her to look up something called changeling. She was confused but decided to research it and began typing on her computer. Several results came up, and we would probably get answers. A changeling refers to the replacement of unbaptized children, where a creature is left in their place. Faced with this absurd information, Ji-hyun started delving deeper into her research. We are presented with images of trolls exchanging their children with human children as a form of prank. A troll is a creature described as a miserable-looking dwarf fairy known for performing malevolent actions against humans, including the habit of consuming them. Our protagonist became quite frightened by these revelations. When Warm said they could help her with this, to her happiness. However, when asked for her address, our protagonist began to distrust her mysterious friend. This action resulted in her blocking Warm. Ji-hyun found the troll's story amusing and got up from her chair. This left her confused about how he got her number, calling him a psycho. Maybe she should see a psychologist for thinking something so strange about her little brother. When suddenly a strange sound began coming from the kitchen, our protagonist decided to get up and check the source of the noise. However, she only got a fleeting glimpse of her brother in the dark. She called out to her little brother and walked towards him, and asked what he was doing with the lights off. However, her face soon turned pale, because Bobby was found dead on the kitchen floor. Furthermore, his dear brother Ji-young was on the dog's side. He then started talking and licking himself in a very creepy way, forming a very sinister expression. Ji-hyun was paralyzed with fear. Now she was sure that feeling was real. Some monster had replaced her brother and killed Bobby to hide its identity. Our protagonist was left speechless by this revelation. The troll lamented being discovered, as he had started to like the place. Ji-hyun quickly remembered the changeling and resolved all her doubts about her brother. He understood that she wouldn't let this go unnoticed, reaching the inevitable conclusion that he would have to make a grim decision, eliminate the poor girl. Then he began to transform into a troll. While Ji-hyun stood completely still in the face of this transformation, he became a huge blue monster with claws and sharp teeth, as well as yellow eyes. At the end of his transformation, he lunged at her, striking with his giant hands. But in a matter of milliseconds, someone entered the house through the balcony and swiftly struck the giant troll, preventing the girl from being mortally wounded. This person was a man wielding a sword who sliced off the monster's arm. He arrived with a sarcastic smile and mocked the troll. If Ji-hyun was already confused before, imagine now with a stranger, a troll slayer wielding a sword. Clearly distressed but feeling a bit safer now, she asked who he was. However, she only received another blow to the head. He asked her why she ignored his message after seeing it, and mentioned that it was much harder for him to have to track her phone's IP to find her house. Soon she asked if the young man was warm, and he confirmed. However, the troll had already recovered and cowardly attacked from behind. But thanks to quick reflexes and agility, our hero managed to dodge the attack. The monster said he remembered hearing about troll hunters and recognized him as one. Warm was impressed and happy that the information spread quickly, and then he mocked the abomination. The troll jokingly responded, saying he was playing the hero after cutting off a mere arm. Then his arm began to regenerate, quickly growing another in its place. Once again, the monster mocked Warm, saying that a simple sword couldn't harm him, leaving Ji-hyun even more shocked. In response, our hero explained that trolls have strong regeneration abilities. Then his sword began to burst into flames, and he said that to counteract this property, it was necessary to apply intense heat to the attacks. Ji-hyun's situation was unfortunate because if she had doubted all this before, now she would be forced to reconsider all her disbeliefs. The sword finally became completely engulfed in fire, and Warm said that now he was ready and that it would be pleasant to roast the troll. The troll then went completely berserk and charged at him, calling him a repulsive human as he ran. But Warm just waited for him to get close enough to strike. He crouched down and began to prepare, uttering words before delivering his attack. Our hero launched himself towards the troll, spinning like a tornado. This strike emitted a bright light, and he finished off the monster, slicing it into several pieces while burning it. Finally, Warm defeated the troll, smiling with satisfaction. Outside the building where Ji-hyun's apartment was, everything was calm until the execution of this blow, which left a massive explosion of flames as a trail of destruction. After the smoke cleared, Ji-hyun finally stopped coughing. To her surprise, she heard a baby crying, which caught her attention. It was revealed that her brother was alive, inside a piece of the troll. Warm assured her that there was nothing wrong with Ji-hyun now, and recommended that she not tell anyone about the events that occurred, as she would be labeled crazy. Then, with a big smile on his face, our hero bid her farewell, jumping off the balcony and saying, "See you soon." Ji-hyun seemed traumatized by the events, which no normal person had ever experienced before, and the next day she went to school with some bandages on her face. Her friends asked if she was okay because they heard that her apartment had caught fire. However, she just wished that all of this had been a dream. To her surprise, Warm entered the school dressed as a student, causing a flurry of confusion in her mind. The scene shifts to several snack wrappers in a dark room, accompanied by a disturbing sound of someone or something eating voraciously. This someone is a man who seems to have an insatiable hunger. Outside the room are his father and mother, who appear very frightened by these unusual sounds coming from their son. They decide to open the door to call him but do not enter due to the shock they receive. The mother tells him that if he no longer feels sick, it would be better to return to school. The boy is then shown to us, and we can see that he is clearly very weird. The parents are at a loss for words, as their son does not appear normal. The mother wonders what could have happened to leave him in this state. On the wall was a family photo from a week ago, and it was clear that the boy had changed a lot. The father then asks how he could have changed so much in such a short time. They begin to doubt whether this really is their beloved son, but the boy hears everything from the back of his room and wonders what he should do. As he forms a very sinister face with sharp teeth, we can be certain that this was indeed the next troll in the story. In a park elsewhere in the city, someone is standing beside a leash on the ground, seeming like a small funeral for an animal. It was Ji-hyun lamenting the death of her puppy, Bobby. After her mourning, her parents called her to eat, and we see that they are staying in a tent they set up in the park. Then, a pair of women walked by, commenting that it was very strange for them to be camping in that area, leaving Ji-hyun a bit uneasy. She asks why they are still camping and suggests finding a place to stay, but her parents seem excited to be there. The girl then appears desperate and asks them to go home, but the father calmly tells her that from now on, this is their home. Everyone stays silent for a moment, clearly showing how confused Ji-hyun is. To clear her doubt, she asks what her father means, and the mother asks him to explain. The father, still calm, begins to explain. However, Ji-hyun becomes even more scared upon discovering that the reason they are not at their house is because they need $2 million. To resolve any remaining doubts about why they need such a large sum of money, the mother begins to summarize everything. She uses an old game called Bomberman as an example to help the young girl understand, saying that besides their house being completely burned down, the neighboring houses also suffered from the incident, and the conclusion is that they will have to pay for the repair of everything damaged by the fire. Still with a worried expression, Ji-hyun asks what they will do now, but the only response she receives is that with faith, everything will work out. Obviously, this leaves Ji-hyun even more terrified and worried until she goes to school. She has a clearly worried expression, which is noticed by her classmates. Her expression remains very noticeable, and this makes her realize that everything was completely normal just a day before. Suddenly, someone taps her to get her attention. This person is Warm, who apparently is the new student in her class, asking what happened. Hyun then stares at him momentarily with a look of disgust, accusing him of being the cause of everything that happened to her, while Warm smiles innocently. Hyun wants to end him, but then she realizes that if it weren't for this boy, her family would be dead now, so she should thank him properly. She begins to talk about that fateful day, but the boy interrupts her, commenting that thanking him is the least she could do since he saved her life, leaving the girl in shock. In a bad mood, Hyun gives a sarcastic thank you before standing up. In the hallways, Warm calls out to Hyun, with his hands behind his head. He asks if Hyun would like to know who he is, but when the girl turns to look at him, he says it's a secret. Hyun turns her back again while Warm continues talking, saying that it was fate that they met, so they should become good friends. Besides, he didn't know they studied in the same class. Warm circles around Hyun, revealing that he had never been to school before, so it's good that they already know each other. Hyun, already irritated, asks him to just say what he wants. Warm comments on how she knew about the troll. The girl is intrigued and questions if it's not obvious for a family to know the difference, but the boy responds that this had never happened before, encountering a troll so quickly. Warm crosses his arms and mentions that it's just a theory, but maybe Hyun can sense when someone is a troll. But when he finishes speaking, he realizes that the girl is no longer there. Descending the stairs, Hyun finds the boy's theory absurd. It doesn't take long for her to feel something strange. She turns her head to the side. The weird boy from before enters her field of vision. She stares at him, observing his back for a moment. Noticing what she was doing, Hyun composes herself, not wanting to think about the things Warm said, not wanting to complicate her life even more. What she urgently needs now is money. Hyun laments to say it, but her parents only know how to love, so at least she has to do something. Thus, she runs through the hallways. The obese troll is munching on snacks, complaining that the school's snacks aren't good and that his appetite has been ruined. Out of nowhere, a voice emerges, telling him to stop gaining weight and do his job. Looking back, he sees something emerging from his shadow, a one-eyed creature. Returning to eat his snack, the troll says he understands and tells the creature to leave. The creature narrows its eye in disgust, threatening to report this to Sir Bobo, making the obese troll shudder with fear. The troll quickly becomes frightened, trying to find words, but is interrupted by the creature, who tells him to act, saying that his mission is to find the peace. With that said, the creature merges back into the troll's shadow, warning him once again not to forget the mission. The troll stares at his shadow for a few seconds, before making a grimace. At the market, Hyun is scanning a product. She has just attended to a customer. Organizing the shelf, she comments that it's one of the only jobs a high school student can do, so she has to endure it. With a salary of 5,000 won in total, she can only work 36 hours during the week, but assuming she works full-time during the month with holidays, Hyun concludes that she will earn 10,000 won in 200 years. Suddenly, she feels a chill. Scratching her head, she thinks it might be the flu. Someone throws several supplies on the counter. Hyun wonders who eats all this. When she looks, she realizes it's the same guy she saw in the school hallways. The chill from before intensifies as she looks at the weird boy. Her eyes widen. This feeling makes her sure it's the same as when she saw a troll for the first time. The teenager asks her to check the purchase, snapping her out of her trance. Hyun is trembling with fear but tries to hide it as best she can. She wants to finish as quickly as possible. The obese teenager casts a confused look at the girl. Trembling, Hyun notices something is wrong. The machine. Apparently, it's not working. Hyun continues to look down, but the troll calls her, asking what she is doing, showing a horrendous face that terrifies the girl. The market door opens, ringing the bell. 3 customers enter. One of them approaches the troll, looking at him with judgment. Annoyed, the man begins to speak ill of the creature, telling him to get out of the way. But he is completely ignored, making the men very angry. Then one of them grabs the troll by the coat, pulling him outside, saying he needs to be taught a lesson. The creature lets out a sigh, murmuring its displeasure. Hyun is paralyzed while watching the troll being taken by the men. Seeing this, the girl becomes intrigued, remembering the troll's expression as he whispered that he wouldn't fill his stomach with this junk. The protagonist is still having trouble believing that the boy is indeed a troll. She goes back to organizing things, but soon stops arranging and reflects. What if she's really right? If that boy is really a troll, people could die. In a dark alley, Hyun walks nervously looking for the man from earlier when she hears a groan belonging to the man from before, and around him are his companions injured on the ground. In the middle of them is the troll, calling them nuisances, with torn skin revealing its true form. Surprising Hyun, the creature steps out of the host's body. With its true form revealed, the troll comments that it needs new skin. Hyun hides behind a trash can while the troll chooses its next host. The girl thinks of fleeing but ends up hitting the trash can with her foot, knocking over a bottle that shatters on the ground, attracting the troll's attention. It lashes its tongue in the direction of the noise, grabbing Hyun, with the clear intent to possess the girl, making the protagonist scream. A flame appears in the dark. It's Worm, who appears cutting the troll's long tongue, shocking both the girl and the creature. With that, Hyun falls to the ground as her savior says she was saved by him again. Worm asks again if she can really sense the trolls, leaving the girl perplexed. Soon she responds that she doesn't know while the troll ponders about the boy in front of him. Anguished, he asks if the boy is a trapper. Worm confirms while Hyun wonders what that is. But in an instant, the boy advances with his sword against the troll. The creature closes its mouth, only to release a green liquid at its attacker, affecting Hyun in the process. The girl panics at the thought of it being poison, but the trapper reassures her that it's just vomit. When she looks at the creature again, she sees it fleeing, jumping across the rooftops. Worm asks Hyun where the troll went, but the girl insists she doesn't know. This makes the young trapper kneel beside her on the ground. With a serious tone, he says that if she doesn't help, there will be more victims, making Hyun reflect. Thus, the girl leads him to a subway station. Together they go down the stairs. As they look around, they notice that there is no one inside the subway. Worm speculates that it's still under construction. The lights go out, scaring Hyun. Worm ignites the flames of his sword. When he raises it, the light reveals the troll's huge teeth. Without wasting time, the creature scratches Worm's back, leaving the trapper angry. He tries to counterattack with his sword, but the troll is much faster. The darkness of the place makes it difficult to see. The troll laughs, attacking Worm again by surprise, and hiding in the darkness, mocking the trapper boy who can't see him. The troll appears once more, attacking, this time delivering several blows to Worm. Laughing, it comments that all this movement has made it hungry. He warns that he will play with the trapper. His attacks are quick and precise. Soon blood drips onto the floor, belonging to Worm's wounds. The trapper is panting, commenting that he was already impatient with the pace, leaving Hyun terrified, thinking that at this rate, they will die, so she has to do something. Hyun starts to reflect. She tells Worm to put out the flame on his sword. The boy is reluctant because without the flame, he can't fight. The girl explains that they are just giving away their position, and she also mentions that she has a plan. Worm looks thoughtfully at Hyun. The only source of light is the sword, which is soon put out. The troll realizes they are setting up a plan but thinks it's useless, since he can smell the use thanks to the earlier vomit, so the creature inhales, locating its prey. In the dark, Hyun holds Worm's arm. The trapper is unsure about the girl's plan, but she tells him to be quiet. Hyun closes her eyes, trying to focus on sensing the troll, and she really feels it. The creature prepares, and jumps while thanking them for the meal. The two youths are in its field of vision, getting closer and closer. She swings Worm's arm with the sword to the side. The scene is striking as the sword is embedded in the troll's forehead. Hyun and Worm are surprised that the plan worked. The creature screams enraged but says it won't change anything. With that said, it pushes the youths towards the wall to crush them. Hyun closes her eyes in terror. Worm says she did a good job, and that now it's his turn to take over. With that, he plants his foot on the ground, stopping the troll's push. Both Hyun and the creature are intrigued by this sudden movement. Worm's arm swells with muscles. Worm contracts his muscles, trying to apply force. Gradually, the troll's feet are lifted off the ground. Worm lifts the creature still impaled on the sword. With the body lifted, the troll threatens. The boy remains unfazed and just says it's a pity. Gradually, flames climb up the sword, quickly reaching the troll's face. With flames pouring out of its entire face, Worm still holds the sword with the burning troll above him. He withdraws the sword, spinning it in various directions, very focused, cutting the creature into several pieces. The troll begins to swell, starting to open up. Several lights shoot out of its body, exploding it in the process. Outside the station, Hyun is sitting on the ground, with smoke coming out of her clothes. Behind her, Worm is talking to someone who hands him something from inside a car. The boy mentions that thanks to Hyun, the guys from the store earlier were saved. Out of nowhere, he throws a suitcase into the girl's lap. When she opens it, she sees several bundles of money. Hyun is confused while Worm gets straight to the point, mentioning that he needs her ability and suggests they work together. The girl is incredulous at what he says. Hyun throws the suitcase in Worm's face, telling him to get lost. She gets up, running off with the money in her arms, thinking that even though she urgently needs the money, she only has one life. Her eyes fill with tears. Even poor, she wants to return home alive to sleep and forget about this. When she gets home, she notices a sign warning that camping in the park is strictly prohibited and those who do so will be fined. Hyun looks at the almost completely dismantled tent in the back. Out of nowhere, her father emerges from a bush, calling for her. He comments that people are cruel. The family is lying on a mat of newspapers on the ground. Cheerfully, her father says he got 3 newspapers for Hyun to lie on. Hyun reflects on this situation. The next day at school, Hyun slams her hand on the desk. She tells Worm that she will give her all at work. Now she will work with the person who ruined her family, who is also her savior. With a smile, Worm tells her to call him boss. Someone is holding a video game controller. A young man with light hair lying on the couch while playing, surprised that the troll from earlier was killed by humans. The one-eyed creature calls him Sir Bobo, mentioning that it wasn't just any human but a hunter. Sir Bobo steps on the small creature, crushing it. Sir Bobo reveals his true form with tentacles, saying it will be fun. With a pencil and paper in hand, Hyun asks the trapper's name. Smiling, the boy replies that it's Worm. The girl asks again, but this time about his real name. Worm says it's Hate. Making animated gestures, he repeats his name a few times. Hyun's hands are impatient as she asks for his surname. Worm replies that it's just Hate. Soon she asks his age, and he also doesn't know. When asked for his social security number, Hate says he doesn't have one. Annoyed, Hyun breaks the pencil, shouting what that means for the school. Hyun exclaims that not knowing is one thing, but not having it is completely different, and that there's no one like that in Korea, and that this can't be called a contract. Calculating with her fingers, Hate asks her to relax, saying she can keep everything. He says he has no interest in money. The girl asks again, questioning if he's out of his mind for not caring about money. The boy lowers his head while explaining that hunting trolls is all that matters as long as it makes him the greatest hunter. With his eyes shining with excitement, he says he wants to become number 1. Hyun thinks he's a strange guy, but then she grabs his gloved hand, demanding his fingerprint. The boy quickly pulls his hand away, asking what Hyun was trying to do. She replies that she will find a way to record everything he said. Soon a different voice calls for Hate. When he turns around, he sees a strong guy sitting at a table. He says he's thirsty and that something should be brought to him. Hate questions why. The strong guy stands up from the table, retorting that the young trapper doesn't understand a simple order, and that he should read the room if he doesn't want to die. With a threatening expression, he grabs Hate's head. Hate shows a lost look, but his eyes widen when he realizes the situation. The boy points his finger at the guy in front of him, calling him a bully. He circles the bully animatedly, mentioning that it's the first time he's seen one, as he's only seen them in comics and dramas. With excitement, he asks what drink he should fetch. Soon, Hate runs off, saying he'll get the drinks, leaving the bully unresponsive. Meanwhile, the other students call him strange, with Hyun staring at him. The burly guy shows an excited smile, feeling lucky to have met this kind of person. On the school grounds, during the second break, Hate runs with the drinks in hand towards the bully. He also serves lunch. During the 5th break, Hate offers his gym uniform, but gets punched in the head for it being the wrong size. Disconcerted, the boy approaches Hyun, only to be reprimanded by her. The girl asks how long he will endure this. The boy sits silently, mentioning that he made a promise that no matter what, he will never threaten a human. A precious and frightening person made him promise. Confused, Hyun questions whose side he is on. The boy changes the subject, contemplating being next to a real bully. Hyun says she doesn't know him but is sure he's worse than that. The next scene shows a train with a sinister expression. It's running along the tracks, but the train is actually a toy, and the tracks are the braces of a student. It's the bully having fun with the train. The students around are incredulous. Hyun and Hate watch the scene. Showing his phone, the bully calls Hate over. With the phone in hand, Hate asks what he should record. The bully replies that he should record the moment because he will post it on video site to get famous. Hate starts recording. The big guy makes a move. Jiyeon pushes the toy towards the student with braces, causing discomfort while he laughs at the situation. Distressed, the student pleads with Jiyeon to stop. However, this only angers Jiyeon, who stands up threateningly, further frightening the student. Jiyeon then lands a precise punch to the student's face, leaving everyone in the classroom shocked. Hyun, frightened, covers her mouth with her hands, and Hate continues to watch. Worried, Hyun asks if their classmates are just going to watch, but the students choose not to get involved, some turning their backs. The beaten student spits blood. Hate watches in silence. Already on the ground, the injured student is still insulted by Jiyeon. With his face swollen, he begins to cry. The trapper boy continues to listen to the bully's insults. Jiyeon makes a terrifying expression, asking the student why he was born. In a trance, Hate recalls an old memory from when he was a child, injured by a bottle, with people around him saying offensive words, questioning why he was born. Hyun screams at Park Jiyeon that he's going too far, but she notices something. Hate holding Jiyeon's arm, surprising everyone in the class. Jiyeon's face contorts with anger. Irritated, he punches Hate, probably thinking he broke one or two of the boy's teeth, but Hate is unharmed, gripping Jiyeon's wrist, making him moan in pain. With Hate's grip, the bully begins to writhe. The class is impressed, even more so Hyun, who thought the boy wouldn't do anything against humans. Hate calls to the girl, asking if the bully seems suspicious. Hyun thinks for a moment, before understanding the situation. She puts her hand on her chin, responding confusedly that she might have felt something, giving the bully time to grab a chair, throwing it with all his hatred towards Hate. The chair breaks into pieces, with the hunter's fists piercing it to hit Jiyeon's face. The students are in pure shock with their mouths open and eyes wide, as Jiyeon's face becomes crushed from the impact. Hate shows no emotion, watching Jiyeon being thrown to the ground. With his fist raised, Hate says that by acting like this, there's no way the bully is a human. In the teacher's lounge, the hero is sitting on the floor with his arms raised, clearly receiving a lecture from a teacher. On the other hand, Hate thinks he did a good deed. This only earns him more scolding while Hyun observes the situation through the window. She thinks about helping him, but a sound of heels grabs her attention. The door to the teacher's lounge is opened with brute force. A voice orders the boy to get up, stating that he didn't do anything wrong. The source of the voice is a woman with a troll trapper emblem on her clothing. She confidently says she is Hate's guardian. Still in the school, Hate has his cheek pulled hard. The woman is reprimanding him for causing trouble, mentioning that the superiors are freaking out. The boy questions if she told them. She responds that it's her job, making Hate look away. Hyun calls their attention, asking if the woman is really the boy's guardian. With confirmation, she shows a paper and asks the woman to sign it. The blonde verifies the paper while Hyun explains that she decided to work with Hate, only to see the contract being torn apart, leaving Hyun nervous. With a serious look, the guardian says she should be the one asking the questions. The girl feels confused, with the woman instructing the two young people to follow her. A huge building with the name Trapper is presented. Hyun is impressed with the Trapper's company, and questions if this is the pharmaceutical company that appears on TV. Showing her badge with the name Gina, the blonde replies that it's just for show. The badge is scanned in the elevator, making the elevator check the identities of those present, recognizing everyone except Hyun, who is identified as an unauthorized creature. Soon the elevator begins to move, pointing all kinds of weapons at the girl. Calmly, Gina allows Hyun to be present. The elevator starts to descend, taking them on a steep drop. Hyun looks back, feeling scared, as she sees a gigantic troll as if it were a statue. She is stunned by what she sees, and Gina begins to explain about the trolls, commenting that they have limited regeneration abilities, destructive power, and incredible speed, being predators that consider humans as food. Depending on the time and place, ghosts, chupacabras, goblins known by various names, they ruled over humanity. But some brave people opposed them. Priests, knights, exorcists, Taoists, and currently trappers. They called themselves trappers and continued to fight in a terrible and bloody war against the trolls. With arms crossed, Gina asserts that Hyun is in the middle of a war that has been ongoing since the dawn of humanity. That's why Hyun needs to stay focused. The girl interrupts Gina, arguing about how much capturing a giant troll is worth. While they discuss, the elevator door opens slowly. Hyun looks at the door, noticing a young man, who looks back at the elevator. He is wearing a white coat, and his hair is black. His handsome appearance makes Hyun's cheeks flush. As they exit the elevator, they are greeted by the young man. Hyun gives him an admiring glance as she passes by, but hears the young man say the word, disgusting. She watches him enter the elevator. Indignant, the girl sniffs her own clothes. Noticing Hyun's reaction, Hate informs her that the young man wasn't talking about her, which leaves her confused. The people around them start whispering among themselves, saying bad things about Hate as he walks calmly through the halls. Hyun is perplexed and, at the same time, confused. At the end of the corridor, the three of them stop in front of a door. Excited, Hyun starts talking about making a real contract, but Gina tells her to be quiet. Then she looks at Hate, asking him not to make things more difficult, mentioning to be prepared as the superiors won't let things pass so easily. When she finishes speaking, she leaves the young people alone. Hyun asks if Gina is just trying to scare them, but Hate reassures her that nothing will happen to her. This only makes Hyun even more confused. The door opens, with the two entering the room. A woman whispers something, making a root appear on the floor. Soon more roots appear, becoming large and thick, grasping Hate's body. A man sitting on a platform calls out to the boy. The man, Warm, the troublemaker of the organization, says that the young man should consider it an honor that the central organizers of the trappers, the 5 execution teams, and other executives from various areas are all gathered because of him. The woman with short hair advises Hate not to move, as the more he moves, the tighter the vines will grip him. This woman is Rose, rank 14, vice leader of the Golden Lion team. Then the other teams are introduced. Mabu, the rank 6 robot, leader of the Iron Heart team, and Left, rank 11, vice leader of the team. The third team is Body Language with leader Disco, rank 6, and its vice leader Kimong, rank 7. Silent Cat's fourth team with leader Wiper of rank 4, vice leader Jordan of rank 12. The fifth team is Half-Blood, with Gina as the leader, whose rank is unknown, with vice leader Sul Huang of rank 1. The director of the information department, Sinan, presses a button on a remote control, turning on a screen showing Warm of bronze rank attacking the school bully. Hate is already on the ground with a bunch of vines binding his hands and legs, indicating that the hearing for his punishment will begin. Perplexed, Hyun wonders if this matter is really that big. The scene shows Hate grabbing the bully's wrist, even the moment he is hit with a chair, punching the bully in the face. Sinan, the department director, mentions that the title of this video posted on YouTube is The Kid's Justice on the Superior Dog. He then asks Warm to confirm if he is the attacker in the video, but Warm gets excited to know he's famous on YouTube and doesn't answer Sinan's questions, making him angry. One of the higher-ups yells, making Warm fall silent. The man declares that protecting and saving humans is their responsibility as trappers, and that such an act of violence against an innocent human should not be ignored, especially coming from Hate. Sul Huang, the man with scars on his face, asks Sinan to bring something. The director presses the button on the remote control, which causes a door to open in the floor, catching Hyun's attention. From above, the leaders declare that the trapper Warm will be placed in the dark room where there is no sound or light. Meanwhile, a sinister box emerges from the open door in the floor. Hyun is incredulous at what she sees. Pouting, Warm complains that it will be boring to be trapped for a month. Hyun whispers if this is normal company procedure, but the boy says this rule is unique to him, as he is a special case. Intrigued, Hyun asks if he knew this would happen. With a bright smile, Worm says it's okay and that he'll see her in a month. The girl has a serious look. Then she raises her hand to get the leader's attention. Sulhwang turns around, with Hyun admitting that she was the one who asked Worm to fight. The boy gives her a look. Sulhwang remains silent, and Gina, in turn, calls the girl an idiot. Hyun explains that at the time she thought the guy Hate hit was a troll, so the incident occurred due to Worm's duty as a trapper. Sulhwang questions who she is. The girl replies that she is a part-time partner, making everyone fall silent for a moment. But then everyone starts laughing in response. Gina, on the other hand, reports that Hyun claims she can sense trolls. One of the leaders says he doesn't believe it, and Sinan expresses that at the girl's age, everyone wants to be special, leaving Hyun impacted by what she heard. The girl then retorts Sinan's age, in addition to calling her a liar, but Sulhwang silences her by punching the railing of the platform. He yells that an additional punishment will be added, for not only the crime of violence against a human but also for leaking information about the company, mentioning that with evidence, Worm will lose his qualifications as a trapper and be sentenced to imprisonment, and orders that Hyun's memories be erased. The girl gets nervous, and Hate is shocked. Gina stands up, warning that this is an unjust action. Sulhwang mentions that although Gina is a team leader, she is not on the same level as him, leaving Gina surprised. Proceeding with the orders, vines also bind Hyun's body. Sinan jumps from the platform, heading towards her. Placing his hand on top of her head, he informs her that about a month to a year's worth of memory will disappear. He adds that she shouldn't hate him because it's all Worm's fault. The girl's eyes fill with tears of fear. But at the last moment, a voice asks them to stop. The leaders look at the owner of the voice. Sinan, Hyun, and even Worm do the same. Hate's face lights up when he shouts to the president. Sinan and the other leaders bow in reverence. The middle-aged man asks everyone to stand, but the scarred leader asks why he asked them to stop. Holding his cane, the president responds that he shouldn't exaggerate and that accidents can happen on the job. As Hyun said earlier, Sulhwang retorts that Hyun is just an ordinary citizen without skills or qualifications. Then the president suggests testing the girl. Looking at Sinan, he asks him to bring a mission. Sulhwang, in turn, questions what the president is doing, mentioning how this relates to the punishment. He accuses the president of forcing the situation. Calmly, the elder retorts that it is Sulhwang who is being too strict. Sulhwang frowns. He grumbles, turning his face away. The president announces that he has made a decision, inviting the part-time trapper Kang Ji-hyun and Hate to take a test. The scene then shifts to the company's van, Trappers, moving through the city. Inside, Hyun furiously vents about Sinan while Hate praises her for speaking up to the superiors. He also thanks her for standing by his side before. Hyun says there's no need to thank her, as she needs him to pay off her large monthly debt. Still, Hate seems quite happy, mentioning that it's been a long time since anyone stood by his side. In a serious tone, Hyun questions why everyone treats him that way. Hate scratches his ear, avoiding eye contact. Before he can respond, the vehicle suddenly brakes, causing Hyun to bump her head against the boy's face. After that, the two exit the van. They look around the area. Gina exits the driver's seat, reporting that the news mentioned many murders, particularly in accommodations. But this information wasn't leaked to the public as the wounds on the bodies looked like they were torn apart by a beast. Hyun mentions trolls, and Gina confirms. With a serious look, the woman says that to avoid punishment, they will have to solve this case. Looking more closely, Hyun mentions that the place seems to be a food court. In room 1204, where the lamp illuminates the place, a voice inside the bathroom asks to wait. The voice asks to leave some for her. The troll comments that he also wants to eat the good part, but the other hands him a leg. A couple walks down the street. They stop in front of a hotel, exchanging words of affection. At that moment, someone calls them. It is Hate who emerges from the shadows. With his flaming sword, he accuses the man of being a troll, but Hyun slaps him on the head, dragging him away from the couple while apologizing to them. She says they are not trolls, but Hate insists they are. Something seems to be watching them. An object observes them from above. The leaders are watching their discussions on a screen. Sinan comments that they are completely lost. Looking at him, Gina asks if he's sure this is the day. The head of the information department asserts that it's been a week since the last victim, so he's certain it's today. The blonde stands up, declaring that the two youngsters need more information. Then an envelope is thrown onto her desk. Sulhwang states that they gave them enough information and that if they can't handle it, it only proves they're not qualified. Gina opens the envelope, and her eyes widen. With photos, she thinks they need to figure something out. Hyun is horrified by the sight of the photos, asking what kind of information this is. She throws the photos aside. She curls up on the sidewalk, lamenting how screwed they are, and if things continue like this, they'll erase their memories. But a snack enters her view. Hate offers it to her, but the girl can't eat in this situation. She says this but ends up eating more than half of the snack. With her mouth full, Hyun laments while the boy stares at the bitten snack. He soon comments on her bite mark on the snack, while she makes a face, thinking sarcastically about how amazing he is. Excitedly, the boy talks about Hyun's bite mark on the snack. Hate then finishes eating. Suddenly, Hyun stands up, letting out a scream, startling Hate. She crouches down to look at the photos on the ground. Examining them more closely, they provide a clue. If you look closely at the bodies, they have different bite marks, indicating two trolls. Turning to Hate, she warns that the two trolls are working together. That's why she suggests they look for groups of people heading to shelters. Behind the screen, the superiors continue to keep an eye on things. Sinan comments that Hyun knows how to use her brain, catching Gina's attention. The two young people intensify their search, with Hate searching on one side and Hyun on the other. The phone rings. Hyun answers, asking if Hate has found anything. He gives her his location. The girl finds him in an alley. She observes the situation, where a woman is leaning against the wall with two men around her. They are asking if the woman is okay. Apparently, she drank too much. The two guys exchange glances. Their expressions clearly show bad intentions. The masked guy says he always finds people like this on weekends. His companion adds that they don't even have to look. They just need to hide and wait. They try to take the woman with them. Hyun and Hate watch closely. The girl seems to feel something. Hate notices and grabs his sword. The boy unleashes his energy, rushing towards the guys at full speed, almost reaching them. Hyun shouts that it's not the men but the woman in the middle, surprising Hate and Gina on the other side of the screen. Sinan asks if it's true that the girl can sense the trolls. The woman is in the men's arms, being taken away. Sensing an approach, the men look back. The troll reveals its form. Hate stops abruptly, already very close to the guys. Then he jumps up, spinning in front of the troll with his flaming sword. The troll looks up, facing the trapper, who shows a smile, before cutting off the troll's head. The woman's body is headless. The head rolls on the ground, while the men watch the body collapse on the concrete. Seeing this, the two men scream in terror. They fall to the ground, accusing Hate of killing a person, but the boy warns that they almost died, and if they had continued, they would have been devoured as soon as they entered the room. The men are confused when one of them looks at the head. The head is losing the white color of its skin, revealing its true form. It screams furiously for having lost its meal, terrifying them, and they quickly run away, leaving behind a groaning head. Crossing his arms, Hate complains about the guy's reaction and asks Hyun if she's sure they're not trolls. Hyun is a bit confused because she can't sense the other troll. On the other hand, Hate isn't too worried since they just caught one of them. Then, raising his arms, he announces that the mission is complete. The superiors are watching the screen. Gina sighs, saying that it doesn't matter as long as they pass the test. But her expression becomes suspicious, remembering that according to the photos, there really should have been two trolls. Looking at Sinan, she accuses him of giving false information to the young people. He, in turn, responds that although she is a leader, she is always so wrong, still mentioning that there is no trick in the information and that the test is not over yet. Gina asks what he means, but she widens her eyes in surprise, realizing something. At the same time, Hyun also seems to notice. She looks at the troll's head. Hyun checks with Hate if the creature is really dead. The boy confirms that they are not immortal and that to kill them, you have to destroy the head or the heart. He even picks up the head from the ground to show her, but Hyun turns her back in anger. With his hands on his head, Hate says he's excited that now that they've completed the mission, they can work together. Before Hyun can finish her retort, she sees a sharp claw pierce Hate's stomach. It's the body of the woman from before. The two young people are horrified to see the headless body. Groaning in pain, Hate says he cut off the creature's head. The troll laughs at the situation, pulling down its clothing a bit, revealing the face of another troll. Hate is incredulous, and Hyun is in pure shock. Gina screams, "Twin head!" questioning the meaning of this, saying that if it's a twin head, it should be at least rank A. She mentions what happened to the simple test. Sinan comments that Hate wanted to be a master hunter, so they went hard on him. Drops of blood drip on the ground as the boy is lifted into the air by the creature. The troll comments on the trapper's terrified look, while staring at his expression of pain, throwing Hate into the concrete. The walls of the place tremble with the impact. Hyun is protecting protecting her face, surrounded by dust. When she looks, she sees the entire wall shattered with Hate on the ground. Hyun screams his name. Gina is shocked. Sulhwang keeps a serious expression. Sinan doesn't seem very affected. The president just watches in silence as the troll returns to its original form amidst the dust. Hyun widens her eyes in astonishment, watching the creature modify the woman's body, each member, until it is finally complete. The troll points to its severed head, explaining that only one of the heads can control the body, and thanks to what the young people did, he is now in control. Agreeing with the creature, Hyun tries to sneak away, but the creature lifts her by the collar, revealing that it wants to thank them in some way, saying that it plans to place Hyun's head in the spot where the decapitated one was. After all, he is a twin head, so he shouldn't appear so formal with just one head. With that, he raises his hand, transforming it into claws, advancing on Hyun, making her scream. Sulhwang stands up, looking at the man next to him, saying that it's a pity the president's little pastime has come to an end. With that, he turns to leave, with Sinan right behind him. From behind, he hears the president say that it's not over yet, and he adds that Sulhwang knows exactly why, because the boy is very special. Even before the troll's hand approaches Hyun, the flaming sword cuts off its arm, disconnecting it from the body. The sword spins between the troll and its arm, separating Hyun from the monster. This leaves the creature shocked. Even Hyun is stunned. The troll looks at Hate, who is now awake, who, in turn, shows no emotion, his eyes revealing an awakening. The sword spins in the air, landing in the troll's hands, which it crushes with its hands, demonstrating all its hatred, shouting insults, throwing the crumpled sword to the ground. It shouts that it will not forgive Hate, but something appears in front of it. It's Hyun, who is using a fire extinguisher on the creature, leaving a trail of smoke around it while the girl tries to escape with Hate. The boy doesn't move, telling Hyun to get out because it's too dangerous, but she insists. But Hate continues to tell her to stay away from him. The girl is uncertain. There's no more time because the troll's shadow is already over them. With clenched fists, it advances menacingly, landing a punch on Hate's face. It laughs, seeing the boy's body tremble, but Hate recovers with a gleam in his eyes and a sinister smile. Excited, the troll admits that the boy is a curious human. Quickly, it attacks again, its arms suspended in the air. The troll moves its eyes in search of something. That's when it looks up, only to see Hate hitting it full force. The impact is so great that the creature crashes through several floors of the building. Hyun looks at the large hole in the floor, seeing the troll sprawled on the ground. The creature gets up with a bitter expression. Without warning, Hate appears from behind, scratching the troll's back. The monster tries to strike back, but the boy dodges. The creature is hit multiple times, while Hate always evades its attacks. The troll's face contorts in hatred, not understanding the situation, because the boy was on the brink of death just a moment ago. At the same time, it wonders how the boy can move so quickly, all while being torn apart by Hate. Sinan praises the trapper for a moment, saying that it's impressive. The cuts on the troll are getting deeper. It's trying to protect its face, before showing a confident smile. In an instant, its entire body regenerates, leaving everyone alarmed. The troll comments that those attacks only tickled it. With arms crossed, Sinan informs that normal attacks won't have any effect on the troll. The only way to stop the regeneration was with the sword, which is now destroyed. Then he adds that it's game over. The creature raises its two fists, saying it will finish this, throwing several punches at Hate. Hyun protects herself with her arms from the movement of the fight, as the environment around them is affected. The troll laughs even more at the situation, still trying to hit the boy. Sinan hears Gina mutter. The woman observes that although he is an informant, he knows very little, because Hate's real weapon is not the sword. The director looks at her confused. Back to the fight. The troll is about to deliver the final blow. With Hyun closing her eyes in agony, an impact occurs. The creature loses one of its arms again. The troll is confident since it can regenerate, but to its surprise, it's not working. Hyun opens her eyes, and Sinan is intrigued by what he sees. The troll is incredulous, even asking if the boy has another weapon. Hate only lets out a groan as smoke rises from his fists. Looking closely, his gloved fist starts to heat up. Soon after, it's on fire. On the other side, Sinan widens his eyes, while Gina confirms that this is Hate's true power. Turns out the sword was only used to transfer the fire. Hate now has his entire arm transformed into flames. The troll's expression shows pure surprise. Hyun looks shocked, and the leaders are paying close attention. Hyun looking through the hole in the floor, noticing Hate's gloved hand emitting smoke. The girl is surprised, seeing the boy's hand heating up, until it catches fire. This gives her the same feeling as a troll. The creature screams, showing all its hatred. Placing its long claws on top of the boy, the young trapper, in turn, makes a simple movement, bringing his flaming fist towards the troll. Moving quickly, he strikes the creature's chest, making its arms fly off with the flames, creating smoke, spreading fire throughout the area, activating the fire suppression systems, spraying water everywhere. Hate's monstrous hand is still burning hot. The troll is practically at his feet, covered in burns. The creature coughs and asks what happened, pointing to the boy's arm. It grabs Hate's shoulder, saying that the young man should have died in its attack. The troll tears the hunter's shirt, revealing 2 holes in the boy's stomach, but they regenerate in the blink of an eye. Hate's body is intact as if nothing had hit him. Trembling, the creature declares that the young trapper is one of them. The boy still shows no emotion, finally finishing off the troll, and expresses that the creature is wrong, saying he is different. The troll's body was cut in half. It doesn't take long for him to turn his head, stopping his gaze on Hyun, who appears to be alarmed. This makes him look away while holding his arm. On the other side of the screen, the leaders are more than shocked by what they just witnessed. Sinan is shaken by not knowing this information about Worm. On the other hand, Sulhwang responds that there was no way he could have known since he's new to the place. Then he talks about 15 years ago, when there was a troll called the Fire Lord, also known as Ignite of SS rank. He breathed fire from his mouth, had a flaming head, and lava flowing through his body like blood. In just half a day, he burned down an entire city, and with the sacrifice of countless hunters, Ignite was finally defeated, but beneath the corpse, a child was found. She had a monstrous arm covered in flames. Perplexed, Sinan asks if Worm is a troll. Gina replies that he's a half-troll. The informant becomes even more alarmed, making a face while criticizing Worm's origin. Then Gina catches his attention, telling him to shut up with a look of pure disgust. At that moment, Sulhwang announces the end of the test, adding that he'll turn a blind eye to Hate's assault on a human, and allow Hyun to join the team. The president lets out a sigh. Sinan observes that passing the test doesn't mean much to Hyun at this moment, because judging by her reaction, she didn't know about Worm being a half-troll, and would probably quit on her own now. At Trapper's company, news is being leaked, announcing that a fire of unknown origin occurred. The news comes from a phone. Hyun, sitting on a bench, turns off her phone. She is reflecting on Hate's gaze. Shaken, she confirms that Hate is a troll. Gina adds that he's also half human, and that even though it's like this, no one in the press sees him that way. When they found him, he had no identification. With no name or records, he wasn't accepted as human. Moreover, before he became a hunter under her supervision, Hate remained unaware of the outside world, living this way for 15 years. Gina hands a paper to Hyun, announcing that she passed the test, earning AC rank, and as she requested earlier, she became Hate's partner. That is if she still wants to accept. Hate is holding his bandaged arm, saying a mosquito bit him, and he warns that since it kept itching, the arm ended up swelling and then scorching. Finally, it caught fire. The boy laughs at nothing for a few seconds, until he panics, clutching his head. His excuse won't work. He clearly remembers Hyun's gaze, so he believes she is afraid of him. Suddenly, the door opens, startling him. It's Hyun. With an expression, she asks what it means. This leaves the boy flustered, making him use the mosquito excuse. But Hyun's eyes are gleaming with money. She questions the price of trolls. While calculating, she asks if they will be paid for the test and if the payment increases per head. Rigidly, Hate responds that it probably goes for about 500 coins. With this, the girl starts doing various calculations, concluding that they can survive the month. Nervously, Hate asks if the girl isn't angry or if she's afraid of him. Pointing her finger at him, Hyun replies that she's not. She thinks her family's debt is more important. Besides, since learning about trolls, she already suspected something like this could be possible. Hyun also adds that he's lucky because he'll never have to deal with acne scars. For a moment, Hate is speechless, before he starts laughing, calling Hyun strange, making her angry. Walking through the corridors, Sinan comments that something bothers him about Kang Ji-hyun. The information department took a month to find the trolls, while the girl identified them with just a glance, so he starts considering a possibility. But Sulhwang questions him, but Sinan says he thought of something but isn't sure. With that, Sulhwang declares that from now on, they will observe the 2 young people. The night in the city, a young man watches the buildings through the window when someone calls him. It's a man handing him a paper with results. The paper is opened, revealing contents from the Trapper's company, like team changes and the sender's name, Solbak, of bronze rank. The man next to the young man gets nervous, saying he will talk to the press because the information doesn't make sense, but Solbak says it's unnecessary, since he wasn't expecting much anyway, adding that wherever he goes, he will rise to the top. Back at the park, Hyun's mother cheerfully announces lunch. The father, with a smile and an axe on his shoulder, asks if they have enough firewood, while the younger son celebrates with a rat in his hand. The family is quite excited, laughing beside a container. Scratching his head, the father tells his wife that he can't believe their daughter is already grown up enough to get a house for them, and the mother mentions the bathroom. The husband grabs his wife by the waist, declaring that nothing else matters, as long as he has her by his side, leaving the woman embarrassed. But their moment is interrupted by Hyun, who steps in and separates them. With a red face, she starts complaining about this kind of situation, yelling at them not to do that, because with their current financial status, she has to stop her parents from having a third child. Hyun gets ready, announcing that she's going out while her mother asks where she's going on a weekend. The girl confidently shows her badge, confirming that she's going to work. The trapper's employee badge. Among the buildings, Hyun is walking confidently, wearing intellectual clothes, holding a folder that seems to contain important documents and a bitter double shot. Pressing her glasses with her finger, she mentions that this is necessary, because even though it's a company that captures trolls on the outside, it's a globally recognized corporation, so it would be strange to employ a high school student. Hyun is feeling really cool. While thinking about the possibility of becoming a real employee, someone calls her. It's Hate, saying that she's already late. Holding her hand, he pulls her to another corner, leaving the girl confused, questioning that the building is right there, but he says it's not that way, and takes her somewhere else. When they arrive, Hate shows the place, super excited, which, in turn, is graffiti covered along with cobwebs and trash bags around. There's even a sign announcing the place's name. Hate confirms that it's at this establishment that Hyun will start working now. Seeing this, Hyun turns her back, asking if it's a joke, but at the same moment, the establishment's window opens, revealing Gina, who greets her with a cigarette in hand, mentioning that now the girl is part of the Half-Bloods, surprising Hyun and making Hate excited that they are now working together. Embarrassed, the girl compares the press building with the establishment where they are. Calmly, Gina responds that the HQ doesn't invest in its team. With a serious look, Gina notes that trolls don't appear every day, so she'll pay a salary for Hyun to start working at the establishment. Then she gets up, leaving the young people to prepare for the opening, with Hyun still incredulous and Hate very excited. The girl is sitting on a stool, wearing a green apron and pink gloves. On the floor is a basin of potatoes. Hyun is with a troubled look, sitting in front of the faucet with basins of potatoes around her, reflecting on the big city and the forest buildings. Her image of being a career woman was completely destroyed. Soon she hears something coming from behind. It's Hate, who cuts the potatoes with pure emotion, flames around him. Watching him cut the potatoes so fiercely, Hyun wonders where all these movements and names come from. Hyun questions if they are the only ones on the team. To her surprise, the boy confirms. Hate scratches his head, noting that they are only a team in name. After all, the HQ labeled them that way as an excuse to push them away, and since no one wanted him on their teams, they had to create a new one. Because of him, Gina is also going through a lot. She was a high-level hunter, but by accepting him, her reputation fell. Hyun looks away, regretting having asked, but soon she sees Hate's expression. His face is serious as he says he intends to prove everyone wrong. With a confident smile, he shouts that he will become a master hunter and compensate everyone who supports him. Hyun remains silent for a moment, realizing that this is why he doesn't care about money. Calmly, the girl comments for him to work hard, leaving the boy excited. But out of nowhere, a voice asserts that this is just an illusion. An ice dart is thrown, grazing Hate, getting stuck in the wall. Hate only gets a scratch on his cheek, while Hyun is alarmed. The voice calls the two young people slow, then quickly launches several ice darts. With some knife movements, Hate manages to deflect the attacks. The owner of the voice appears, mocking the trapper's blocks, asking if he dreams of becoming a master hunter with those skills. Hyun assesses whether the young man is a troll but doesn't feel anything coming from him. Meanwhile, Hate shouts, questioning the person's identity. Taking a step forward, holding a canteen in hand, the young man reveals himself, being the black-haired guy from the elevator before. The ice dart stuck in the wall begins to melt, with its drops falling to the ground, revealing the young man with black hair and blue eyes. The three youths continue to stare at each other menacingly, until Hyun remembers seeing this person before in the company elevator. Impatient, Hate asks what the young man is doing. Putting away his canteen, the young man responds that he was just testing how slow Hate was. With the two young men face to face, Hyun asks if they know each other. They answer at the same time, with the tall young man saying yes and Hate saying no, leaving the girl even more confused. The tall young man gets angry that Hate doesn't remember him. He tries to remind Hate that once the boy grabbed him by the collar in the HQ corridors. The trapper boy, with a confused expression, says he doesn't remember. After all, many people at HQ pick fights with him, so it has become trivial. With a serious look, the young man opens his canteen, letting the liquid flow, which instantly turns into ice, forming into a frozen sword in the young man's hand, who says he will mark Hate in a way he will never forget. The trapper also grabs his sword, setting it on fire. With the sword in hand, Hate announces for the young man to go all out. This situation makes Hyun uncomfortable. The tall young man runs. Hate does the same. A sword fight is about to happen. Their faces are very close, but a hand grabs Hate's sword, and the other grabs the tall young man's sword. Gina is between the two young men, holding their weapons. Hyun greets the woman, while Hate shows shock. As for the other young man, he's impressed that she grabs the swords with bare hands. With a deadly look, the blonde makes a move to disarm them both, causing Hate to fall hard to the ground. The tall young man manages to jump away, landing perfectly on the ground. Gina reprimands Hate for not preparing for the opening, but the young man tries to explain by talking about the other guy. The guy realizes he was mentioned. Out of nowhere, Gina is already very close to his face. With a scowl, she questions Solbach's presence. He calmly closes his eyes, before showing Gina a paper, which she carefully checks. It's the transfer paper. Apparently, he was assigned to the Half-Blood team, making everyone surprised. Gina has a suspicious look. Outside, she calls the company, questioning why Solbach is on her team. Sol Hwang's voice comes from the other side of the line, answering that her team needed members. Sitting in the shadows, he adds that he just brought her a new recruit. Gina gets angry that he didn't discuss this with her, but the man reminds her that although they are team leaders, she shouldn't compare herself to him. With a firm expression, So Hwang states that the decisions made are his, and she just follows them. The woman is silent for a moment, then she says she understands while hanging up the phone. Angry, Gina throws the cigarette on the ground, stepping on it in the process. Her face is pure disgust as she exhales the smoke. Inside the establishment, Solbach fills his canteen at the faucet. Hyun watches him, finding him handsome. Sitting on the stool, she thinks how bad his personality is. Hate appears behind Solbach, asking what's the deal with the canteen. In the middle of the questions about the canteen, the trapper even calls him sullen. This makes Hyun suppress a laugh. Turning off the faucet, the young man says his name is not Sullen, but Solbach, adding as he calls Hate an idiot. Not offended, the trapper puts his hand on Solbach's shoulder, alerting the black-haired young man, who violently removes the hand from his shoulder. With a threatening look, Solbach exclaims for Hate never to touch him with a gloved hand because he finds it disgusting. Hyun watches the scene. For a moment, Hate is speechless. He clearly didn't like what he heard. His hand trembles, and his gaze is of anger. But before he can do anything, Hyun holds his hand. She reminds him of what Miss Gina mentioned, making Hate look down to see her hand holding his. For a moment, he says nothing. Then he returns to his usual cheerful personality. Hyun just stares at him in silence, letting out a sigh. Solbach says nothing more. The establishment's door opens. With hands in her pockets, Gina says they don't need to cut potatoes anymore, announcing that they will close temporarily that day. Hate questions the reason. Making a kind expression, Gina reveals that with the arrival of the new team member, they will have a celebration. The news makes Hyun and Hate very excited about the possibility of a dinner, but the leader changes her expression in the blink of an eye to something darker while smoking, revealing that in this celebration, they will hunt trolls. The three process what was said clearly. The most shaken are Hyun and Hate. Looking at Sobak, Gina mentions that it's a good opportunity for him to show what he's capable of. Returning the look, Sobak shows a smile, responding that it's exactly what he will do. The night in the city. A truck is passing through the streets. A person gets out of it and adjusts their hat. The man seems to be in a good mood with a smile, but something catches his attention. There are garbage bags. He tears them open, leaving the contents scattered on the ground. While holding a receipt, he seems to be calling someone. The phone is answered. At the man's feet, there's another piece of paper while he tries to confirm the identity of the person on the phone, Mr. Han Jong-suk. The man in the hat claims to be from a delivery company and mentions there is a problem with the package, suggesting Mr. Han comes out to check. Someone rushes down the stairs. It's the person from the phone, Mr. Han Jong-suk, who questions the delivery man about his product. He looks around for his product. The delivery man politely responds that the item is too large, so it is inside the truck. Mr. Han Jong-suk places his hand on the truck's door, opening it. Taking a look, he begins to reflect on whether he really ordered anything, but there's no product in the truck. Mr. Han is confused. Focusing on the shadows, he notices something. Looking up, Han Jong-suk comes face to face with creatures. This startles him, making him step back, but the delivery man prevents him from taking any more steps. With a smile, the man in the hat says that the service is complete. Mr. Han turns even more confused as several claws emerge from the truck to grab him. One of the hands stretches out, covering Han Jong-suk's mouth. Another grabs his arm. Tears flow from the man's eyes. Several hands are around his body, pulling him into the darkness of the truck, thus closing the doors. The same truck begins to shake, with intense thuds, until it goes quiet. Blood starts to trickle from the door. The delivery man runs his finger through the blood, commenting that they could at least try to eat without making a mess. Licking his finger, he adds that it's a waste. In another area, a team of 3 is walking. Hate has a warm aura, while Sobak has a cold aura. Hyan doesn't like being in the middle of this tension. Returning to Gina's lodging, Sobak asked what kind of troll the leader wanted him to catch, but Gina calmly says that they should go out and find trolls on their own, leaving Sobak surprised. Then she presents the troll radar to the young man, showing Hyun. In the present, Sobak looks at the girl. His gaze is firm as he reflects on highly skilled hunters who can spot trolls by looking. But looking at Hyun, he has never heard of an ordinary human with such abilities. Noticing Sobak's gaze, Hate angrily asks if the young man doubts Hyun's abilities. The young trapper praises her skills, asking if Hyun is sensing a troll. The girl nervously scratches her head. Sweating, she thinks there's no way to find a troll after being thrown into the middle of nowhere. A tire makes a noise. With the 3 on the sidewalk, the truck appears, passing behind Hyun, alerting her, making her eyes widen. She warns the others that she found a troll. Pointing to the truck, Hate suspects that the driver might be the troll. Hyun's face turns grim, saying that she sensed the existence of 5 of them. Sobak hears his name. It's Hate wielding his flaming sword, demanding that they check the truck. The truck wanders calmly, with the delivery man at the wheel, announcing his hunger. Soon he smiles, mocking the humans who, even without ordering anything, always run away when they hear they're going to receive something. He is talking on the phone, conversing with the 5 trolls around the cell phone. A well-fed troll comments that it's thanks to this that they get to enjoy delicious meals. He even suggests to the delivery man that they go to a different city. Another troll with bared teeth talks about trolls who were using a shelter as a food court and says they were killed by hunters. The trolls mock those who were caught, saying they only ate in the same place and declare that if they had done as they did, moving around, no one would have noticed them. Soon they start suggesting names for their method, happily shouting the name, food truck. While the delivery man drives, everyone laughs. But he spots something. The 2 hunters in the middle of the street. Sobak and Hate, very confident. Hyun watches from a distance, hiding behind a wall. Sobak casts a suspicious glance at the girl, questioning if what she said is certain. Hate just tells him to trust her. Grabbing his canteen, Sobak says they will find out once they check. Something flies at high speed, passing very close to the delivery man's face, startling him. When he looks to the side, he notices an eye start a centimeter from his face. The trolls inside the truck soon realize the hunter's movement. The delivery man becomes furious, threatening the hunters. Then he steps on the accelerator, sending the truck speeding towards Solbak and Hate. The two hunters take position. Solbak tells Hate to step aside if he's scared and not to get in his way. Hate retorts that he has faced this kind of situation many times. Hearing that, Solbak turns his attention back to the trolls. With his canteen, he creates another ice dart, announcing that the large ice he made should be enough, leaving Hate confused for a moment until he realizes it's to stop the truck, which is coming at full speed. Solbak raises the ice with his hand. Looking down, he notices a fire hydrant, where he throws the block of ice, spreading water, with the hydrant cap spinning in the air as the sidewalk fills with water. Hyun and Hate show confusion. The delivery man, showing his horrifying form, shouts for them to die, about to hit the two young people. Hyun closes her eyes tightly, and Hate shields himself with his arms. But Solbak seems unfazed, making a motion with his hand, lifting it, turning the spilled water around into ice, creating a massive frozen shield, leaving everyone intrigued, including the troll delivery man. Solbak calmly watches as the truck passes through the shield and splits in two. The trolls that were inside are now in the air, being scattered. Hate is shocked to see the truck with the trolls above them. It doesn't take long for the debris to fall in front of Solbak. With a serious tone, he declares that Hyun was right. Looking at the girl, he says there were 4 more. The girl is clearly alarmed by what she sees. Hate tightens his grip on his sword. He is nervously biting his lips, thinking that Solbak is not kidding. One of the trolls attacks, while everyone tries to recover. Hate is the first to speak, announcing that he will show what he's capable of while running at full speed. Solbak lets out a sigh. Hate's first victim is the troll dressed as a delivery man. He also tries to counterattack, but flames erupt around the trapper. The troll is knocked out, with it being hit in the middle. The troll begins to split in half, falling to the ground in flames. Hate displays a confident smile, showing how skilled he is. On alert, Hyun shouts for the boy to look behind him. As the 4 trolls are about to attack him from behind, one of the trolls shouts for him to die. Hate turns around. Meanwhile, Solbak sighs. Placing his hand on the ice, he says there's no need to be so reckless, creating ice chains, which rapidly advance, grabbing the bloated troll and pulling it away from Hate. The other trolls watch alarmed as the chain ensnares one of them. Soon more chains advance, binding the sharp-toothed troll, the one with the long neck, and 2 more trolls. Hate looks at them. The chains emerge from the large ice behind Solbak. With a frigid expression, he calls the trolls idiots. Seeing this, Hate makes a face. The reddened troll screams to be released. The other creatures also start to yell and threaten. Solbak remains silent, moving his hand, controlling an ice chain, shaping its tip, turning it very sharp, becoming a large, sharp blade around Solbak's arm. His lips whisper the technique's name, ice fishing. With an immense thrust, it advances rapidly, passing by Hyun, Hate, terrifying the trolls. When it reaches them, it hits their heads all at once. Hyun stands stunned, watching the lethal ice weapon finish off the creatures. Hate looks at the bodies now on the ground. He is astonished to see 4 trolls defeated at once by Solbak. Hyun is suddenly called by Solbak. The young man asks if that's enough to please the team leader. Nervously, she responds that it probably is. Hate remains silent, clenching his fists tightly, clearly disappointed. Gina looks astonished as she listens to the 3 young people in front of her. She is incredulous about Hyun sensing the trolls right away. In addition to Solbak splitting the truck in half and capturing 4 trolls. With her legs crossed, Gina asks if Hate really only captured 1, but he remains silent. The woman becomes furious, reprimanding him, but the boy continues to say nothing. Gina wonders what's wrong with him, as the young man has never acted this way, even with what happened at HQ. Looking down, Hate replies that he will try harder next time. Hyun reflects that this scene feels more like a mother scolding her child for getting bad grades. At the establishment, Gina congratulates everyone, especially Solbak, who thanks her, calling her team leader. Gina doesn't like being called that, so she asks him to call her Miss Gina instead, as she is no longer one of those team leaders. Hyun looks at her confused. Standing up, Gina asks them to make sure to have the next day off, because she will take them to HQ. Hate questions the reason. The leader replies that they need to report the incident as it's a significant case. Making a bitter face, she adds that they will probably have to give a full report in front of the exec. With that said, she places her hand on Solbak's shoulder, asking if he wouldn't like to see his brother's face. Smiling, the young man responds with a yes, that it is his wish. Police tape surrounds the location, while curious people gather around. The center of attention is the truck that was split in two. The police officer tries to control the crowd, saying it was a traffic accident. Behind the officer, there's a man smoking, who believes it's a poorly told story. While smoking, he comments on the truck's state. A big guy next to him says it's unlucky that the incident happened near their operations base. They mention that if the police continue to monitor the area, they will ruin their business. Meanwhile, someone walks barefoot on the sidewalk, approaching the men who are discussing. The hooded person ends up bumping shoulders with the man, making him drop his cigarette. The man's veins pop with rage, shouting insults at the person, drawing the attention of the hooded figure, who stops walking. Then he turns his face, showing a smile. The hooded person watches the city's activity from the top of the building. He seems to know exactly what caused the truck to end up in that state. This makes him laugh. As he lowers his hood, he hints that there seem to be more interesting people around. The redhead looks back, asking someone's opinion. Around him are the bodies of the men from earlier, covered in blood. On the floor, there are blood stains. The man who was smoking earlier is crawling on the ground. His body is injured from head to toe. He is trying to reach the door. The man raises his hand to reach the doorknob, but he feels something holding his leg. A tentacle is preventing him from moving forward. Looking at his leg, the man's expression is one of pure fear. Before he is pulled by the tentacle, dragging him towards the redhead. Getting closer, he is upside down as he is lifted by the tentacle. The man screams to be let go and even calls the young redhead a monster. With a sinister smile, the redhead asks where he was going, adding that it's rude to leave like that. Increasing his macabre smile, he says he will have to eat him. Then he reveals his enormous mouth with rows of many teeth, leaving his prey with wide eyes. The man's expression is one of pure horror, already knowing he won't leave alive. He cries out as blood spills. The night at the trapper's company. The scene opens with the troll's belongings from the night of the incident, including the phone and the truck split in two. The leaders are seated, listening to the report. The report details that the trolls were luring people with the delivery truck. Members of the Half-Bloods team are also listening, with Hyun observing Hate's posture. Mimicking his example, Hyun appears somewhat nervous. The report continues, stating that the creatures were responsible for a significant number of deaths. Sul Huang is staring seriously at Sulbok. The young man returns the gaze attentively. Sul Huang reflects on the efforts he made to place Sulbok in a position where he would never see him again. Reading a book, Wiper, the braided leader, questions how such a major case went unnoticed by the intelligence department. Sinan begins to get nervous, responding that the way the trolls operated was well planned, so even with some information, it was impossible to track them. Then, the Iron Leader Mabu asks if it was really Hyun who found the trolls, managing to stay off the informant's radars. He finds it hard to believe. Hyun lifts her gaze, paying closer attention. Suddenly, Sul Huang slams his fist on the chair, drawing everyone's attention. He declares that regardless, the Half-Bloods team completed a high-level mission and will receive their rewards. This catches Hyun's attention as Gina thanks them, announcing the team's dismissal. They turn their backs, leaving the leaders behind. Sul Huang watches them go. In the HQ corridors, comments begin to circulate. One person tells another that they heard the Half-Bloods team handled a case that even the informants couldn't. People continue to talk as the team walks through the corridors. Amid the conversation, the impressive skill of Hyun is mentioned. The conversation soon shifts to Sulbok, saying that the team only managed to complete the case thanks to him, which irritates Hate. He turns, asserting that he also caught a troll and complains about them only talking about Hyun and Sulbok. While complaining, he is hit on the head by Gina's slipper, who tells him to shut up. Hyun questions Gina about Sulbok's whereabouts. The leader says he still has some matters to resolve at HQ. With a serious expression, she adds that he was probably called by his brother. This surprises Hate with the information. Looking out of the large window of the room, Sul Huang expresses that Sulbok has been doing unnecessary things since he arrived. Sulbok asks what he means by unnecessary, as there is nothing wrong with hunting as a hunter. Looking at his younger brother, Sul Huang questions if he has already forgotten why he was sent to the Half-Blood team. Lowering his head, Sulbok responds that he hasn't. The elder looks back at the window, advising his younger brother not to attract attention with unnecessary things and to do what he was instructed, as that is the fastest way for him to return to HQ. Sulbok closes his eyes, contemplating that his brother simply hates that he demonstrates his skills and shows initiative, and his concern is that he returns too quickly. The two remain silent for a moment, which is broken by Sul Huang, who tells Sulbok to remember his words, as it is advice from from an older brother, making the young man open his eyes in disbelief. The door closes, indicating the younger brother's departure. Selbach is finishing going down the stairs. He repeats his brother's words about giving advice as an older brother. Clenching his fists, he strikes his arm against the wall forcefully, reflecting in silence with his head bowed. With a bitter look, he vents that Selvang never saw him as a brother. Meanwhile, Hyun appears surprised to learn that Selbach and the leader of the Golden Lions are brothers. Gina explains that they are half-brothers. The younger one is an illegitimate child while Selvang is the family heir. Hyun comments that it sounds like a play. The blonde adds that this is why Selvang hates Selbach. He even despises the idea of his brother working as a hunter, and everyone at HQ knows this. Looking down, Hate expresses that Selbach must have gone through a lot. The elevator announces that the doors are opening, and indeed, they begin to open a crack, drawing Hyun's attention as she looks back. The crack widens, revealing something in its midst. Hyun begins to feel intense tension. In the middle of the door is a huge yellow eye staring deeply at them. Claws finish opening the door, revealing a massive troll. Hyun warns the others about the creature's entrance. Gina questions the presence of the troll at HQ, while Hate shouts for Hyun to run. The creature with sharp teeth seems to advance, leaving the girl terrified, not knowing what to do. This prompts Hate to take action, while Hyun's eyes widen in pure horror as the troll's claws get closer and closer. But something unusual happens. The creature passes by Hyun, asking for help, leaving the girl confused by what she sees. It falls to the elevator floor. Its legs were bound by thick chains, and its entire body is covered in visible scars. Its arms have some wires running through its veins. Everyone stares at the scene in disbelief. Guys, the video is over. I just wanted to ask for your attention real quick. For those who aren't subscribed, please subscribe and leave a like. It helps a lot. 87% of the audience isn't subscribed, so if you want to help, please subscribe.